Well, guys, welcome back to the Zoe Youth Conversations podcast.
Yes,
We're
welcome.
so excited to have you here today. I'm with Jackson.
Yes,
How are we doing, Jackson?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful Wednesday.
It's a great Wednesday
This
today.
is the day I'm at church for like 10 hours.
Let's go.
Well, same with you.
Yeah, I'm here. It's a long day.
But it's my longest day, so.
Today we have men's prayer
Mm.
on the first Monday of every month, or first Wednesday of every month, and it's kind of nice because I come in a little bit later on Wednesdays because
Yeah.
of youth, obviously. So after men's prayer, I'll go home and take like a hour and a half, 2 hour power nap before I come into work again.
That's electric.
Yeah, it's so sick. Well,
That's awesome.
today we are back with another episode of the Zoe Youth Conversations podcast. So this is up on YouTube and hopefully some clips on Instagram as well. But Jackson, today
Yes.
we've got a really fun topic.
Yes, we do.
We've got a really interesting topic.
Jordan
and
actually didn't tell me what we're doing.
yeah, so right now
I have
he has no idea. He's flying in blind. So yeah. Today we're going to be talking about predestinate. No, I'm just kidding. Just flying blind, extremely deep question.
All right, guys. Today we're getting into predestination.
So,
Are you saved?
are you saved? Today we're going to talk about partying and alcohol,
Yes, we are.
which is an exciting topic because it's an important topic. It's not an exciting topic because I feel like it's, I don't know, fun, but it's
Right.
exciting because we're going to talk about it, and I know that it's a pressing topic and that a lot of people watching this are going to be either thinking about that or in circles with people that are thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so today we just wanted to kind of come at this, have a conversation, and the goal through these podcasts specifically is that, you know, on our regular podcast we answer one question per episode, and today we're kind of just, instead of having a question that we're going to ask,
Yeah.
we're going to go through it kind of broadly speaking and kind of just talk through it a little bit. And so we got Jackson with us today because, Jackson, would you like to share just a little bit about your testimony, maybe
Yeah.
why you're out here?
Yeah, the part
Today?
of the reason I'm here is because I have a past with drinking and with partying. In high school, I started to play football and really wanted to play college football. I wanted to play at a collegiate level because I love football, but
And you're good.
I was okay. But with playing football led to partying. That was kind of the culture, is you played football, you partied. Not everyone partied on the football team, but I realized that it wasn't just the culture of football,
Mm-hmm.
it was the culture of high school. Like, if you wanted to be like popular in high school, you had to go to parties.
Right.
You had to drink. I don't remember people that didn't party that were popular. And that sounds bad, but that's what high school was.
Right.
Was if you wanted to be a part of the popular clique, you needed to drink, you
Mhm.
needed to know what your favorite drink was. You didn't have to like smoke weed or anything, you didn't have to do drugs,
Right.
but that was an incentive too. Like,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
did that, you were even cooler at
Yeah.
a party. And so I just have a story with that,
Mhm.
and then the Holy Spirit encountered me in my
Mhm.
senior year, and it probably took, I'd say, until spring break my senior year for me to stop drinking completely.
Yeah.
Like, I had been dodgy. I stopped using drugs
Mm-hmm.
in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think it was about, spring break senior year was the last time I ever got drunk. I
Yeah.
ever drank, or not ever drank. I've had drinks here and there,
Right.
with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
With my parents.
Different context.
Different context in a different country, actually, where it was legal. In Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
So, don't underage drink. It's wrong. But that was my story. And now, walking, I think I'm 2 years sober.
Let's go, my guy.
I'm actually 2 years sober as of last week.
Oh, dude, let's go.
Yeah, I just realized that.
What a great time to
Yeah,
film this
last
podcast.
week was my spring. Last week was my 2 year of my spring break, and that's the last time
That's sick, dude.
I got drunk. So I guess I'm 2 years sober.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is an exciting topic because I think just even based off some of the things that you were just talking about, you can begin to see the different layers to this question, right?
Oh yeah.
And you can see it in the fact of, well, it's like, okay, so we're talking about partying and alcohol and drinking, and also there's a little bit of drug usage and things like that in there. Okay, well, but then also on the flip side, you talked about how, okay, well, even since then you've like had a drink with your parents.
Right.
So how do you differentiate between those? Well, like, what's the difference between if you're with your parents somewhere and I'm just
Right.
with my friends one time, right? And so I love this topic and I love this question because there's just a lot of directions that they can go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, with this podcast and with our podcast in general, our goal is that we have conversations about how we can live our life biblically,
Yeah.
how we can create a biblical worldview, and how we can see everything through the lens of living our lives for Christ. And so this topic is one that is prevalent, and so we need to know how we can have a biblical perspective about it, right?
Right.
And so for you, it's funny when you started talking, and I was like, hey, maybe tell us about your story. Like, why are you here today? It almost sounded like well, I'm here because I've done this. And then I was like, oh man, did I just make this sound like I'm like shaming Jackson? It's like, all right, Jackson, tell him why you're here today. But no, the reality is that we have different perspectives and different angles from it, right?
Yeah.
So you have one story, and I have a different story. I grew up homeschooled, so shocking. There was not partying that was happening in my homeschool communities. It was not like that. So that was something that, to me, was like a thing in movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I was like, okay, but that's not like actually what high school is like. Like, it's just
Right.
like this is a movie. That's not
Right.
actually what like 16 and 17-year-old kids are doing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then I remember for me, I dated a girl who went to public school when I was just graduating, I just graduated high school. So I was like 18, 19, and she was 18, but like one grade younger than me.
Yeah.
So she was a senior and I had just graduated. And I remember she asked me to go to one of their high school football games one time.
Oh, God.
And she went to Burnsville High School. And so she asked me to go to one of their high school football games one time, and I was like, yeah, sure. Like I love football. I'm locked in.
Let's go.
I mean, I know your team sucks, but like I will be there. And I remember they were gonna go pregame before they were gonna pregame before the football game, and I was like, okay. I was like, sure. What do you even mean?
Was it the stupidest thing you've
It
ever
was
watched?
one. It was the dumbest thing I've ever. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But two, it was. She had brought like a water bottle from her parents' house full of like vodka or whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, my friends just need me to bring this. Like my friends were asking me to bring it because my parents won't care or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you just bringing like literally just a water bottle of alcohol right now to this pregame that, by the way, was 8 people playing spike ball in the Burnsville High School parking lot? Like, we went to the Burnsville High School parking lot, and I'm not lying to you. That's what it was. There was 12 people, and there was a spike ball net in the middle of this circle of people, a spike ball net, and then, someone's got a Bluetooth speaker playing music. There's a spike ball net there, and then it's 4 people playing spike ball, and then just a group watching them play spike ball. And I remember sitting there, I'm like, what are we doing right now?
Exactly.
I was like, we could be doing, like, listen, it's not even that I'm like, this is like, this the dumbest thing you could ever do with your life right now. I was like, but are we really acting like this is the coolest thing ever? I was like, let's just take a look around. We're playing spike ball in the Burnsville High School parking lot right now.
It's a joke.
I was like, and I remember, and this is not me trying to be like, if this is a situation that either you're in or so whatever, it's not me trying to be like, oh, look how dumb you are, right? But it is trying to me to be able to say like, hey, from an outside perspective of someone who didn't do that, just so you know, like, it's not the only way you can do something and have fun.
Right.
Because I remember going to this, and I remember like watching this group of people hang out, and it was the popular group of kids at Burnsville High School.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, it's like Burnsville High School, which feels like a really different high school atmosphere than
Lakeville North.
other high school atmospheres that I've known. But it was like the group of popular kids at Burnsville High School. And I just remember I was like, and it wasn't in a judgmental way. Like, I'm not saying judgmental, because obviously we shouldn't be judgmental. But I remember thinking like, oh, like, you guys think this is like the coolest thing ever right now. Like, you, and I don't say that in a mean way. I just mean that in a way where I'm sitting there like they're here and I'm like, oh, they think this is like super, super cool. And I just remember being like, okay, in a way that I'm sure people who are watching this podcast, right, either their friends are in a situation like that, where their friends are doing that. Like, you said that's hard to be popular, right? There is that atmosphere of people who are popular, and you want to be friends with people who are popular. And if people who are popular do something, it kind of seems like a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like, okay, like they definitely think this is like super cool right now.
Mhm.
And me, I didn't drink when I was there. I was 19. I was older than them, but I didn't drink, right? And I just remember sitting there. I'm like, we're just drinking like this. You just put like some of your mom's vodka like in your
In
water
a
bottle,
plastic Aquafina
and
water
then you
bottle.
like put some like Sprite in there, and now you're just playing spike ball.
Yeah.
Which is like, I love spike ball. That's great.
Spike ball's awesome.
I was like, I don't see
No
how
hate.
I don't see how the alcohol is adding anything to this environment right now.
No,
So
it doesn't do a thing.
all that to say is that we come from two different
Yes.
perspectives. I was very sheltered from it. Like I said, thought it was like a thing people do in movies. Then I dated someone who was in high school and was involved in those areas, and I was like, oh no, this is like a really real thing.
Oh wait, this is stupid.
There was a second time that she had gone to a party and I didn't go to the party because I'm like, no, that sounds like legitimately dumb. I was like, I'm 19 years old. This is a party full of 17 and 18-year-old high schoolers in your friend's basement. Okay, their parents are literally just home upstairs. You just turned all the lights off in the basement and you're playing ping pong now or whatever. And I was like, and I don't know any of those people, and they're all gonna be drinking. That sounds like the worst time ever to me.
Yes.
That sounds like, genuinely, from an outside perspective, someone who knows no one there, that sounds like the worst possible way I could spend my night tonight. But all that to say is that we come from two different perspectives. And again, I really don't want to seem like I was just judging or like saying like how look how bad these people are. It was just me being genuinely like, from somebody who grew up completely outside of that world.
Yeah.
Like, seeing it happen, I was like, oh, like, you guys, like, this is a real thing. Like, I thought it was like a movie thing where it's like, oh, you know, look at this, and then I was like, oh no, this is like a real thing. So, I guess all that to say, when somebody would come to you, a high schooler, something like that, and they would say that, hey, I'm either partying or my friends are asking me to party. What would you? Well, and they were like, what should I do about it? Like, what does the Bible say about it? Or like, you know, because I think there's a lot of kids, and I talked to some of them who like, I think we talked about it last week on one of our podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Someone just asked a question, and I was like, just the fact that you're asking this question shows that you're genuinely trying to live your life biblically. Yeah. And so if someone comes and asks this question, like, there's definitely for sure kids that are like wrestling with it and are trying to live their life biblically. But then at the same time, all of this friends, this whole area of their life is living their life one way. So if someone came to you and said, hey, Jackson, I'm my friends are asking me to go to this party or asking me to party. What do I do? What do I say?
Yeah.
What would be your response?
I think the way I would respond is first and foremost by like notifying them that it's not what they do that defines them.
For sure.
Like it is not who you hang out with in high school that defines you whatsoever. And I'd be the first one to testify to that.
Yeah.
Because I think I regularly talk to two people, like two of my close friends in high school.
Yeah.
I still talk to them 2 years after graduating.
Yeah.
And so, like, grand scheme of things, I know high school right now feels like the biggest, like, this is my life. Because it is. It's all you know.
Yeah.
But I'd reassure, like, in the grand scheme of things, these might not be the friends that you have.
Because you were hanging out with more people than just that.
Right. Yes. And so, like, now, like, I mean, my senior year, I lost all my friends second semester. And I remember crying out, God, give me community. And now all my friends are here at Zoe.
Let's go.
And none of them went to high school with me. Like, I can't think of one that I knew in high school.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing I'd say. The second thing I'd say is drinking under the age of 21 is illegal.
Perfect.
There we go.
Yes.
End of podcast.
End of podcast.
There is kind of this scary notion right now in Gen Z, like Gen Z high schoolers, young adults. I don't know when the cutoff is. Like,
I think the cutoff is like right now they'd be 10-year-olds, like 5th grade, 4th grade. After that, it's Gen Alpha. It's somewhere around there. Yeah.
But right now in Gen Z, we've empowered Gen Z, our generation, too much, and we've made 16-year-olds feel like real adults.
Yeah.
And we've given them too much. I'd say too much power when it comes to like politics or when it comes to worldly issues.
Yeah.
Which we should be equipping our youth. Like, we
Yeah.
should be, like, empowering our youth. Like, they have
Definitely.
the power of the Holy Spirit to make, like, prophetic decisions and to
Mhm.
make good biblical decisions, but you're still kids.
Right.
Like, your prefrontal cortex
Yeah.
is the only
And
cortex.
I'm like just experiencing it developing right now.
He, like, felt it one morning. He's
I felt like,
oh
oh my gosh, there's more in my brain right now.
Right, exactly. Your prefrontal cortex isn't developed.
Right.
And I think we've lost sight of that. We've lost sight of the fact that, like, we aren't fully developed. I'm not fully
Mhm.
developed. I'm 20.
Yeah.
And so drinking alcohol under the age of 21 is wrong. I don't care
Mhm.
how mature you are. I don't
Mhm.
care if you've had a drink with your parents or not,
Mhm.
and you've not been drunk or you haven't been
Right.
buzzed.
Right.
It's illegal.
Right.
And I will say, drinking with your parents, like taking a sip of your dad's beer,
Different context.
different context.
Super different context.
Like, you're not getting
Because
drunk.
in some states that's even legal.
Right. In some states, that's legal.
Like your parents can give you
Yeah.
alcohol.
You go to Puerto Rico. I
With
do-
your parents. They can't like
Right.
give you alcohol and then
Right.
leave.
Yes. Exactly. Your parents have to be with you. So I think there is grace for that. Like,
Mhm.
you can take a sip of dad's beer. You
Mhm.
can you can try your mom's wine and go, oh, that's disgusting.
Mhm.
Like, you can do that. Buying alcohol with a fake ID. I would
Mhm.
call people out right here because I did it. Buying alcohol on Venmo and Cash App and
Mhm.
putting it as like food or
Mhm.
Taco Bell,
Mhm.
that's illegal.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You're breaking the law, and the Bible tells us to obey the laws of our land.
Mhm.
So when you're doing that, you are actively sinning.
Mhm.
And what do we do as Christians? We pursue holiness. We steer
Yeah.
away from sin.
Yeah.
So what I'd say is, hey, like I feel you. Like,
Mhm.
I know what it feels like. There's
Mhm.
still parts of me that wants to drink
Mhm.
and party because it's fun. That's the reality. It's fun.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's not all there is to life.
Yeah. I think there's on this conversation there's two levels to it, right?
Right.
One is that the Bible would tell us to not get drunk on wine,
Mhm.
but to be filled with the Spirit,
Yeah.
right? The Bible has
5:8. I literally just pulled it up.
wow, look at that. And there's other places in Psalms and in Proverbs and throughout Scripture that talk about reference alcohol, talk about alcohol, and talk about not getting drunk, right?
Yeah.
So that is clear. Like I would say, clarifier number one
Yeah.
is that the Bible would not say that drinking alcohol is a sin,
Right.
right?
No, I agree.
So that's the thing that we establish first off, right? The Bible would not say that drinking alcohol is
Right.
a sin. It would say that getting drunk is a sin, that getting
Mhm.
drunk isn't good, right? And the reason I would say that is because it's not beneficial for us,
Right.
right? So that's one part of it. Then the second aspect is what you're talking about right now, which is people would say, okay, well, I'm, 18, 17, 19,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm going to parties, but I'm not getting drunk. I'm just having like
Mhm.
a drink or something like that while I'm
Right.
there. But I'm not getting drunk. And so from that perspective, that's where we would talk about things like Romans,
Yeah.
where it talks about being in submission, respecting the authorities
Right.
and leadership and government above us, right?
Mhm.
Which is in Romans. It's in Romans.
Romans 14.
Yeah, it
It's
talks
Romans
about.
14.
I'm gonna pull it up right now because it talks about how any government that's over you, right?
Mhm.
And so that's a thing where some people would be like, oh well, my friends went to Puerto Rico or whatever, and
Mhm.
it was legal there, and I'm not there, but like they're the same age as me, so why can't I do something here that I can do
Right.
there, right? Well, it's because you are in a different country.
And part of it stems from like the arrogance
Yeah.
that we feel, where we're like, oh, it's unfair. Like,
Mhm.
it's unfair that
Mhm.
Dominic, who's 20 years old, gets to drink
Yeah.
when he's in Jamaica, and I don't because I'm in America.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Like, who cares? I think some of the arrogance that teenagers feel
Mhm.
and young adults feel, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to tread lightly because I don't want to be like very shameful.
Yeah, it's
and
not at all about
I'm not trying to
judgment.
be
No, not at all.
Shameful and condemning because I'm the last one. That's the reason I'm on this podcast is because I struggle with this.
Mhm.
But the arrogance that I felt in high school, being
Yeah.
like, oh, well, the guy who graduated 2 years ago, he can drink, why can't I? Like,
Right.
Or like, he just posted this stupid thing on social media.
Right.
You think I can't drink?
Right.
You can't. Like,
Yeah.
we need to live in full submission, like you're saying. You bring it up in Romans.
Yeah, it says, let everyone, it's Romans 13, verse 1. Let
Oh,
everyone,
tough.
you are so close to it, bro. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established.
Mm-hmm.
Which right there is a huge deal, right?
Oh, people won't like that.
That's almost a second podcast. Okay.
The third,
Nobody.
and a fourth, and a fifth podcast.
There is no authority. No doesn't mean sometimes or mostly. No means that there is no authority. There is no government except that which God has established. Which means the authorities that exist have been established by God. He doubles down on it, right?
I know.
He says, for there is no authority except that which God has established. Then he says, the authorities that exist have been established by God. Which means what he's saying is that the people in office, your government, the country, the laws you live in are established by people that were established by God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. And those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you will not be condemned.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot there.
Boom.
But what it's talking about is, hey, as Christians, we are called to live in accordance to the laws of our land.
Right.
We're called to live in submission to those because we're subject to those.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference between your friend in Puerto Rico and you in America is that they're in a different country. They're in a different country with different laws.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you can say, well, should they still be drinking or whatever? That's a separate conversation.
That's a personal
That's
conviction.
a personal conviction. But when it comes to this, we would say that here in America, there's two reasons why it's not beneficial. One, if you're getting drunk, that's sin.
Mm-hmm.
But two, also, it's illegal. And that's why that's why the you said the fake ID thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is, if you're having a fake ID is illegal. Is illegal.
It's actually identity theft.
Yeah.
Fun fact: it's a why am I blanking? It's a felony.
Mm-hmm.
It's a felony charge if your fake ID doesn't have your picture
Mm-hmm.
or it has a different name and a different address.
Yeah.
It's a felony charge.
Yeah.
And you maybe could get it dropped, but I'd err on the side of not doing it.
Let's not try to find that out.
Let's not.
You know what
Let's
I mean?
not test the boundary.
Like Roman said, or you could just do the right thing and not have to do that, right? So one, that's illegal, and then two, using it is also illegal because it's not just I'm not being subject to the rulers, right? I'm also, and you could say that this is thinking too much about it or whatever, but the reality is that we're trying to live our life pursuing holiness, right?
Yeah.
You're also being deceptive when you use it.
Yeah.
Right? Like owning it is illegal, having it's legal. But then when you're using it, you're being deceptive.
Yep.
And you're lying. And honestly, it probably won't happen because if you have a fake ID, you show ID or whatever. But people that are selling alcohol can get in trouble for it, right? Like to minors, right? Like it's huge. So for both of those reasons, both of those sides, it would be like, hey, not what's wise. Even if, we talk about how, maybe you're at home with your parents or something like that, and they're like, I would taste your drink, and they're like, sure, whatever, right? Well, then you'd be like, okay, well, then what's the difference between that and me going to, my friend's party in their basement?
Yeah.
And having a drink, because their parents are home. Yeah, their parents are not the ones that can consent to the 50 teenagers in their basement having alcohol. And actually, their parents would get in trouble if the cops came.
I just think about, all the times in high school. I kind of reflect. I reflected later on, after I stopped drinking, how illegal were the things that we were doing? And to think we were driving out, 20 minutes to this girl's house in the middle of nowhere with 100 teenagers in her house, and, things are breaking, holes are getting put in the wall, the amount of times I was just knocked out because I was too drunk. Think about how stupid that. About how stupid that sounds. Dude, what'd you do this last weekend? Oh, I put a hole in this girl's wall and I threw up 30 times when I woke up and yeah.
Yeah, it was sick.
It was dope though. I wore a cool bucket hat.
Okay, so now I feel like we've talked about on the one side how, and I think I think that genuinely people who are watching this podcast who are maybe either even having those conversations,
Yeah.
I think they would know both of those things that we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
I think they would know that they probably shouldn't get drunk, and that's not
Right.
that's not good. And I think they would also know that what I'm
Morals.
doing is illegal.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a moral standard thing.
Mm-hmm. So, what I would say is this: what would you say to someone then who's like, okay, they're wrestling with that idea of, and you briefly touched on it, and you talked about how you're not friends with a lot of people that you were friends with in high school. What would you say to them though, who are like, okay, but like all of my friends are doing it, which means that, well, is it okay for me to go to this party and not drink, and I just go because my friends are there?
Yeah.
And how do I wrestle with the fact that all of my friends are doing this thing, and I'm just supposed to not do that thing, right?
Mhm.
Because that is hard, and I think that you can talk about how now that you're out of high school, like you
Yeah.
don't hang out with all those people, but the reality is that when you're in high school,
Oh, it's way different.
it feels like
I remember.
it's super hard.
So a little bit about me. My senior year, I lost all my friends. Like my close friends I had for like 8 years were gone, and I had one person from Zoe from youth group that I was friends with.
Mhm.
Shout out Ellie Peterson.
I knew it was gonna be Ellie Peterson.
If Ellie Peterson sees this, shout out Ellie Peterson. But I wasn't really hanging out with Ellie like all the time. She was a girl and we didn't like each other, so that would have been a little bit weird. Jordan's laughing because it's just a funny. It's a funny joke.
I hope Ellie. I hope Ellie
watches
watches this
this.
podcast.
But I remember, like, there were Friday and Saturday nights. I would bawl my eyes out in my room
Mhm.
because my friends left me. I'd call each of them individually. I knew they were all hanging out because I looked at SnapMap and I saw everyone was together.
All
And I
the
called
all the Bitmojis right there.
Yes, all the Bitmojis were together, and no one would respond to me.
Mhm.
And then someone would text in the morning, "Oh, sorry, we fell asleep." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, you didn't. I called you at 7:30."
Yeah.
I know you guys didn't go to sleep at
Oh.
7:30 because it's how you
Yeah.
post on your Snapchat story at 2 in the morning.
That's so wild, dude. I've never seen someone post on their Snapchat story in their sleep before.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
insane.
Huh, dude?
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's what I'm talking about. Is that's hard.
right. No, that is
Like that's
really
like
hard.
really really hard.
It stinks, and it like church word. I can't say this. It sucks.
Yeah. It sucks.
It sucks, dude. It's not fun. It's not fun to feel like no one wants to hang out with you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a flip side, and the flip side is the people I met in my last 3 weeks of my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
There's this kid. I'm gonna say him by name because he's that dope.
The realist.
Yeah, he won't watch this, but I hope he does. His name is Zach Hunhoff, and this kid could shred the electric guitar
Let's
like
go.
no one I've ever seen.
Let's go.
And I met him at Faith Club on a Friday morning at Lakeville North, and this was the coolest kid
Mm-hmm.
that I met at Lakeville North.
Mm-hmm.
The coolest kid. Not because he was going pro for sports or going D1 for sports. Not because he was a cool musician.
Yeah.
Not because of like his status or anything. It was because the way he spoke to me was like he loved me and he cared for me.
Yeah.
Like I remember telling him, like we just talked one morning
Mm-hmm.
after Faith Club. I was like, man, I'm struggling with this. And he's like, bro, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you realize how amazing like this transformation is. He's like, I've seen you like walk, and he said, I've seen you go from being this jock, d-bag, to being this kid that just like wants to be seen,
Yeah.
and wants to be cared about, and
Yeah.
wants to love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'll say is, yeah, maybe your friends aren't hanging out with you. Like,
Right.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah.
But there are other people in your high school. And if you go to Lakeville North, if you go to Prior Lake, if you go to Farmington, Lakeville South, Eden Prairie, Wayzata,
Burnsville.
Burnsville, any high school,
Mm-hmm.
there is more than your friend group in that high school.
Yeah.
There are kids that I did not know that I graduated with.
Mm-hmm.
There are Christians in the schools.
Yeah.
And if you're the only one, I'm sorry, I'm praying for you.
Mm-hmm.
But stats-wise,
Mm-hmm.
there is likely,
Statistically speaking.
there is more of a likely chance that there are other
Right.
Christians in your high school.
Yeah, and I think a real thing that sometimes people, especially when you're in that age and you're, I mean, I remember, again, different context, but I still remember being in the ages of 16 to 21.
Yeah.
And, dude, I'm going to be honest with you, it kind of sucks. Like, just in general.
Yeah.
Like, that stage of life is like,
I hate being 20.
it's like not fun. Like, And there are things that I'm not trying to be like depressing, like
Yeah.
guys, your life sucks. No, okay,
No.
like there are definitely like
The most
great
formative years of your
there's
life.
the most
You'll love
formative
these
years, yeah, and there's great things about it, but also since it's the most formative years, there's really really hard parts about it
Yeah.
because you're figuring everything out.
Yep.
And so part of that is I remember like I remember having the desire like to have friend groups.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was different, right?
Yeah.
For me, I was homeschooled, so I didn't have any friends, right? And so,
Oh, yeah, Taylor and Morgan. And
yeah, I had brothers. That makes it sound even more homeschooled. Which genuinely, now being 25, almost 25, I'm thankful that I had those relationships
Yeah.
because those relationships are going to last the rest of my life.
Right.
And I have really great relationships with my brothers because I didn't have a ton of friends like that. But now I have 3 relationships that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life.
Yep.
That are like genuinely.
Whoa.
Whoa! You little teary eyed. No, like genuinely, like some of like my deepest relationships.
Yeah.
But when you're 17, 18, 19, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, I just meet my brothers tonight, right? So I remember the desire of like wanting to have friends, but I think one of the things that we can forget is that quality friendships are not going to look at us differently because we don't do something.
Yeah.
Right? And it's hard because maybe you have a lot of friends in a high school group that's partying and things like that. But at the same time, when we say, oh, I'm not going to do that, and then suddenly our entire friend group looks at us differently, that's not quality friends.
Those aren't good friends.
Those aren't like, and it's not, once again, it's not to throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
But it is to be like, hey, like,
dude, you're worth more.
Your friendships should not come at the cost of compromising your morals.
Like, you are worth so much more than
so
a friendship.
Much more.
Like, so much more. You're worth more than being friends with. I don't want to throw a name because I don't want to.
you're worth more than having people be like, oh, you're not gonna do this one thing with me.
Oh, you don't drink?
Oh, you don't drink? Sorry.
Do you know how temporary that is?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, awesome. You thought something was a little bit funnier because you had alcohol in your system.
Right.
Like, it's not that funny. I remember in early high school, my close guy friends, we were known as the sober friend group. Mm-hmm. We were known as the kids who had so much fun being sober.
Yeah.
And people loved us for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started to drink a little bit more.
Right.
And it, like, kind of wrecked our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it kind of wrecked everything.
Yeah. I think one of the things is that I would say that just like it's not a great friendship if somebody would be like, oh, you don't drink. At the same time, for us as Christians, we don't have to be like, oh, I can't be friends with you because you drink.
Right.
Now, we should be cautious about the way that we're living our life. And there's a lot of verses here I want to go through. Let's start with Romans 12. There's so many good things in Romans.
Amen.
But it says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect.
Yeah.
1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellence of him who called you out of darkness into the marvelous light.
Mm-hmm.
John 17. I do not ask that you take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the evil one. This is Jesus talking. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. As you send me into the world, so I have sent them into the world. Right? What this is all getting at is this idea that we as believers, we are different. And so we live lives that are different. Yeah. We live lives that are set apart. Right? And I think sometimes, I was just talking to a friend about this yesterday. Sometimes, let's say people in my position who were homeschooled, right? We think that being okay, and I'm just take this in a broadcast context here, okay? We think that like being homeschooled means that you're set apart, right? That's what it means. It's like, oh my gosh, like I don't do anything, like nothing. I don't even listen to secular music.
No Katy Perry.
No Katy Perry.
No Taylor.
No
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry? No, she left the church.
And she actually left the AG.
Left the AG church, and then she left my playlists. Right? We think that like that's what being set apart means. Is that like we don't do anything. Okay.
Yeah.
But from a realistic perspective, can I tell you that if you're in a situation like Jackson was in high school, and literally all you do is say, "Hey, I'm not gonna drink," you are living set apart.
100%.
Like that's like, and that's not me saying that. Oh, that's all you should do. That's the bare. Like you should just get by with the bare minimum. But like to understand and realize that literally you just being like, oh, I'm not gonna drink, you are automatically different.
100%.
You are living a set apart life.
What you are doing, and this is kind of like something you do with like you do with addictions.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the 4 R's are. Resist, something, run. I can't remember what the 4 R's are.
I never heard of it.
Oh, it's like something that they use to treat addictions.
Okay.
Or to treat pornography addictions.
Mm-hmm.
When you're feeling tempted,
Mm-hmm.
you resist it.
I think you resist, reach out.
Resist, reach out, run, and then I think it's cut. It's something with cutting it off.
Yeah. Anyway.
But what you are doing is that third step. You're cutting it off.
Yeah.
You're not even giving yourself the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to fall.
Mm-hmm.
To whether that's falling back into drinking, partying, pornography.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is just any broad context addiction or sin.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk away from it and you take yourself out of a situation where you could do something,
Mm-hmm.
you are living set apart.
Yeah.
You are being holy as Jesus is holy.
Right.
Because you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to fall.
Right. So, what would you say then to somebody who's like that, who says, okay, well, I've decided that I'm not going to drink. So, would you say it's bad for me to go to this party if I don't drink?
I was praying that you were going to ask me this question. I was literally going to ask you this question so that I could respond.
What would you say to that?
I think that there are 2 sides
Mm-hmm.
to the coin.
Yep.
There's a head side and there's a tail side.
Love it.
We'll start with the head side.
You mean that there's not just one straightforward, simple answer, Jackson?
There's not just one straightforward.
Two-sided coin.
I know.
Head
Crazy.
side.
No one's gonna like that. Head side. I do think that Christians can go to parties in some capacity,
Mhm.
but
But.
heavy but. You need to be so careful
Mm-hmm.
with what you are doing
Mm-hmm.
and where you are photographed.
Mm-hmm.
Because
It
yes,
makes an impact.
yes, I think you can. If you plan to go to this party and you plan to take care of people
Mm-hmm.
and be a sober cab to people.
And you're not drinking.
Yeah,
and
if you I'm not telling you have to be super spiritual and
you don't have to like, hey, can I just pray for you really quick?
you don't have
You
to
can,
go
that'd be
up
sick.
and see a guy and be like Romans 3:23 says all have sinned and fallen. No, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that at all. But I would say, if you're gonna go to a party, you have to have good intentions of saying, I'm here to be a sober cab to people. I'm here to pray for people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to be Jesus to people.
And you also have to know that it's not going to be a situation that's going to tempt you.
Right.
Like, you have to be able to know that to say, if I walked into this party
Yes.
tonight and halfway through the night somebody said,
Hey, just try
hey, just try this and offer me a
one
drink.
sip. It's
I have to
something
know
new.
that even if they ask me 15 times, that I'd be able to say no 15 times.
Could you say no? And I'll say, you can go to the party if your parents tell you you can go to the party.
Yeah.
If you're lying to your parents to go to a party, even though you're not drinking,
Once again,
that's a sin.
we're going to get back in there. We're going to get back in there because
That's a sin.
just like Romans 13 is talking about how the authorities placed over us in government are established by God, the Bible also tells you to honor your parents.
Live in submission to your parents.
And let me tell you what, if your parents would say you can't go to a party and so you lie to them, you are not living
Titus
honoring
2,
your parents.
Titus 2 talks about living in submission,
Mhm.
living in humility,
Yeah.
submission to older men and older women. That can be your parents.
That is your parents.
That doesn't have to be some dude at the church.
But-
That's your parents.
But also, and this is something that I encourage teenagers especially, if you have parents that are followers of Jesus,
Yeah.
if you don't have parents that are followers of Jesus, maybe you have like a youth leader, something like that. That can be like a spiritual kind of authority for you, right? But go to them.
Go.
And
they
say,
would be
hey,
the best.
hey, my friends are all doing this tonight. I got invited. I don't want to go, and I don't want to drink there. But my friends are gonna drink.
Mhm.
What would you think if I was like, hey, can I go and drive my friends home safely, right?
Yeah.
Because your parents or a youth leader or someone who knows you specifically is gonna be able to help you with wisdom in that situation. And your parents might be like, no, that's just not a good idea.
Mhm.
And you go, okay, fine. Or they might be like, hey, if you go, you need to know that you're gonna be able to say no to everything in that situation,
Yeah.
And then 2, you need to call me if you need me.
Right.
And it seems like that sounds lame or whatever, or no,
It's
that
not lame.
is a great thing.
That is amazing.
Because let me tell you what, your parents would probably tell you that. Your parents would probably say, if you need anything, call me.
Yeah.
Which is just another layer that you're gonna have.
Right.
But so I'd say agree on heads that there is a situation in which maybe it's something, maybe you just genuinely you'd never drink
Yeah.
and you don't struggle with it, right?
Awesome.
That would have been me in high
Great.
school. I would have been able to go to a party I would have been like, I'm not gonna like drink.
I had a friend in high school, and she never drank.
Mhm.
She would just sober cap people and just
Mhm.
take care of people, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it was great. It was awesome for her, and it was her ministry.
Yeah.
Like, it was the way she ministered.
Which is amazing because it makes
Right.
an impact.
Right.
Like for me, when I did not go to that party, I didn't go because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go.
Right.
I didn't go because I was like, that sounds like the worst way to spend a Friday night, right? I said that sounds awful.
I
Just like
could
does
be
not sound fun at
grinding
all to me.
Fortnite or Rocket
I could be
League.
doing anything right now, right? But it wasn't because I was like, oh, I can't go because I'm a Christian, right?
Right.
Because I know that if I went, because I did end up going, I went and I picked somebody up, and I was like, genuinely, this, like, no temptation here. Like, I'm not walking in here being like, oh my gosh, I hope no one asked me to drink because I might say yes.
Right.
I was like, I know that I can say no. So that would be side A.
Now
what
let's
would be
get
side B?
to side B, because this is going to be the counter to what I just said, and this is going to make some people feel a little less inclined to be the sober cab. There are so many stories
Mhm.
of people who didn't drink, didn't do anything, they weren't even associated, weren't doing a thing.
Yeah.
But they were photographed,
Mhm.
and they no longer could play sports.
Yeah.
There was a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but this is not drinking, but this relates to what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
There was this guy who was in this car, and they were like driving. He wasn't with the best people,
Mhm.
and he didn't know this was happening, but
Mhm.
the guy in the passenger seat, they drove to a house, and he shot someone.
Oh
Went
my
inside
gosh.
and killed someone.
Oh my gosh.
And this kid didn't do anything, but now he's in prison for 10 years
Oh my word.
because he's guilty by association.
Yeah.
He didn't do a thing.
Mhm.
You might say, oh, that's unfair. Well, he was there.
Mhm.
He's technically a supporter. Like, the police don't know. Like,
Yeah.
the police don't know if he
Man,
was
that's awful.
helping out or not.
Mhm.
He was guilty by association,
Right.
even though he didn't do anything.
Mhm.
That's the same thing with you drinking at a party.
Mhm.
If you get photographed and it gets out to your coach, you were there.
Mhm.
They do not care
Mhm.
if you weren't drinking because they
Right.
don't know. Like,
Right.
pictures can say thousands of words.
If you just go, bro, trust me, big trust. I didn't
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
no,
Or-
coach, I swear. They don't care. Like,
Mhm.
coaches are so skeptical
Yeah.
that you're not getting out of that.
Right.
And then there's more stories about, like, I know sober cabs who were driving someone home, they didn't do anything, and the drunk people in the car were messing with them, and they got in a car accident, and everyone died.
Mhm.
But they were being a sober cab. They were doing
Mhm.
something good.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they lost their life.
Yeah. I also think on side B too, on the don't go, would be the idea that, like I said, if you would not be able to say no to that, right? Maybe this would be my spiritual and pastoral advice to somebody who would
Yeah.
say, like, they're just now deciding,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna drink anymore. They've like just decided that.
Like, now.
Yeah, I would not say, hey, great, go to that party next weekend and like don't drink.
Right,
I'd be like, okay, let's avoid that.
right.
Let's do everything we can do to get away
you
from that
don't-
situation.
Like, when you're quitting, like,
It's
when
hard.
they have you quit drugs, they don't be like, oh, you're taking fentanyl.
Go
or
talk
you're
to all your friends that,
yeah,
that
you're taking meth. Like, let's
Right.
just, like, wean you off.
or
Like,
like go talk to your friends who were dealing or things.
right, like, oh, you're drinking alcohol.
Mhm.
Instead of 12
Mhm.
Truly cans this time, let's drink 11.
Right.
And,
And-
we'll slowly go.
And
No.
there's also this idea in Romans. Once again, there's so many good
Just
things in
stick
Romans.
in Romans.
This is in Romans 14, where it's talking about personal conviction, but it's talking about personal conviction in the sense that some people have a weaker conscience than other people,
Mhm.
which means that some people might be able to be in a situation with drinking and they can say no.
Yeah.
Some people might not be able to do that.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't mean that you're less of a Christian. It doesn't mean that you're a not as good person. Nothing.
Right.
It just means that your experience and the things that happen to you and what you struggle with are different than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so you should not be in a position that's gonna struggle. That's gonna make you struggle.
Yeah.
2, on the photograph thing, would be this idea that I do think that sometimes we think set apart is a really extreme example, right? Sadie Robertson, one of the most saved people I know. Like, speaker, author, incredibly saved person, right? She did a Instagram video where she danced to a clean snippet of a Beyonce song.
Oh,
And her comments
I know
got
what you're
flooded.
talking about.
And I was so mad. Her comments got flooded of like, I can't believe you're listening to Beyonce. This is insane.
Serious?
And I'm like, okay, so that's that's an exaggeration. But I will say, you do, as a Christian, have a witness,
Yes.
and you have this thing that comes along with being set apart, right? And it's this witness that is a testimony to people who aren't believers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know that you live different, they know that you live set apart, and they notice that. They might not ask you about it or whatever, right? But they notice it.
Yeah.
And I'd say that, along with coaching and things like that, if somebody knew that you were at that party, would it damage your witness to them?
Yeah.
Because what can happen, and I think this is what happens. There's one side where people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you used a clean Beyonce snippet for a song, for a TikTok dance." Okay, first of all, it's not that serious, bro. This is a TikTok dance. Okay, that's one extreme.
She's fine.
Then the other extreme is that you do have a witness,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the other extreme is people go from this "I can't do anything" to now, "Oh, I have to do everything that my friends are doing, everything that the world's doing, but I'm a Christian." And so
Right.
I'll be able to be in all of those situations. I'll be able to be a witness.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to be a witness in every single situation. So I can go do all these bad things, but I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they're going to know that I'm a Christian.
Right.
When in reality, what's going to happen is they're going to see you do all of the same things that they do,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to go, "Oh, there's nothing different between you and me.
Yeah.
You do everything that I do. You're at every party that I'm at.
You act the way I act.
You act the way I act." So
you literally just
Jesus,
wear a Jesus shirt.
and so and this is I think something that's like, even I have to think about still now, right? Like, even I have to think about that still now, because I don't have a ton of friends that aren't Christian, but I know some people that aren't Christians, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm homeschooled and a pastor's kid, so I think I go to public school. So my pool was shrunk. There was like I had to actively seek out people who weren't Christian,
Jordan
right?
had to go to Target and Starbucks.
I had to start working at Starbucks.
to find unsafe people.
But what can happen then is they can say, "Oh, you're in every situation that I'm in. You're doing all the same things that I'm doing, but you just say
Mhm.
you're a Christian." In reality, what that can communicate to them is they can say, "I don't need Jesus because we do the same thing."
Yeah.
Jesus does not change. Jesus isn't changing your life because you're doing all the same things you were doing before. Nothing about your life has changed.
Right.
Now, I think the healthiest place to be is somewhere between those places.
Mm-hmm.
That says, "Hey, I can't just do everything my friends do. I have to live life that's different." But what it actually looks like to live different is way different than opposite and far and extreme B.
Oh yeah.
So, and I think that's a thing to think about. I'd say, okay, hey, I know that I'm not going to drink at this party, but also, do I have people that I would like to minister to who, if they saw me there, they would assume that I was drinking?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be able to be in this position and say no to this?
Mhm.
Because if I can't do that, then I really just shouldn't go at all.
Right.
And then I would say, finally, back to the other thing. As somebody who did not party in high school, okay, I never did it. Let me tell you, you can have so much fun in high school without drinking.
Yes.
I didn't have a ton of friends, right? I grew up homeschool, okay? I had some friends.
Your brothers.
I gotta stop talking about saying like I had no friends. It's gonna sound so lame. I didn't have a ton of friends, okay, but I did have friends, and especially in my kind of later high school years, I would say like 17
Mm-hmm.
and on. I actually did have a group of friends that I met through church things.
Yeah.
And I started going to youth group here so that I could have friends that were Christian.
Let's go.
Because I just wanted friends. I was lame.
Then you met the Brannics.
And then I met Mandy and Nikki and Angie. And then what I had happened once I had those friends is we hung out and we did things together.
Yeah.
And guess what? I had a great time. And now I look back at my life and I'm like, that was a lot of fun. Like my later high school years, my early 20s, I had a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Those were actually, like, was there times where it was super, super hard because it was like you're still developing and everything like that? Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Then also, there was times where I had so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was some of the best times of my life. And guess what? I never had to drink during that period.
Boom.
And so there is still a way that you can have fun. And honestly, again, I didn't drink. It's not what happens every single time you drink, obviously, right? But I can look back and I can remember all of those times. I don't just have vague recollections of what happened. Like I can remember the things that I was doing, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I would say that finding Christian friends, finding
Mhm.
people around you that are believers, going to youth group, going to faith club, finding people who are Christians, who are living their life for the Lord, and then investing heavily into those friendships.
Yeah.
Because then what's going to happen is you're going to have a group of people that also don't do those same things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to see the way that you can actually have so much fun
Right.
in those situations.
Yes, exactly.
And that's going to be great for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, I still know some of those people.
Right.
I don't hang out with all of them, but I actually talk to quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A couple people that I went to youth group with in high school. I still talk to them now. Right? Nikki, Mandy, and Andy the Brannics, they're still at church here, right?
Yeah.
Like I still have friendships with people from that time. And it was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say that that's what I would encourage you guys with as well, is that you can find fun, meaningful, fulfilling relationships
Mm-hmm.
apart from that.
Yeah.
It might seem hard because that's not what you have right now, but it's super possible.
Oh, 100%.
And I bet if you went to small group and you talked at small group about how you're struggling with that, people would also be like, yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those relationships can be right
Or if
there.
they're not struggling, they'll just be like, hey, like, let's pray. Like, let me surround you. Like, let's go to war. Like, let's be friends. Like, let's do this together. I got a verse that I read the other day that actually really impacted me and reminded me, because I read this verse in high school. It was a verse that my grandpa read to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of Psalm 101, and it's a Psalm of David. And he says, it's a very short psalm. He says, I will ponder the way that is blameless. Oh, when will you come to me? I will walk in integrity of heart within my house.
Mm-hmm.
I will not set before my eyes anything that is worthless.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the work of those who fall away. It shall not cling to me.
Yeah.
A perverse heart shall be far from me. I will know nothing of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Of evil. Those are verses that I remember my grandpa read to me in high school, and I read to myself now.
Yeah.
And they're so powerful because it's declaring the new life that you're gonna walk.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of this like thing of manifesting where you say like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You say your affirmations and they'll come true.
We should do a separate thing about that because
We
that's
should.
not real.
It's not real. This is not what I'm saying. This is not like that.
This is about scripture.
This is about scripture. There is something though that's powerful about praying scripture
Mm-hmm.
over your life. This is not manifesting.
This is praying scripture.
This is praying to God,
Asking for these things.
asking that He will help you to walk in integrity.
Yeah.
This is not manifesting. This is not doing it by yourself. This is
Mhm.
asking for God to give you the power
Yeah, exactly.
to help you to do this.
Exactly.
So I'll encourage you, if you are struggling and you're ready to take a new step and
Mhm.
walk in a new life, pray these verses over you. This is
Yeah.
Psalm 101, 2-4. That's what I read.
Mm-hmm.
Pray that God will help you to walk in integrity. Integrity means doing the right thing when no one's watching.
Mm-hmm.
Pray that God would help you to do that. Pray that God would help you to hate sin.
Yeah.
That He would help you to make sin feel like broken bones.
Right.
That sin would feel like so wretched and so gross that
Mhm.
you want to run away.
Right.
Pray for those things.
Yeah.
Don't like it kind of the proof is in the pudding.
Mhm.
Proof is what you pray for.
Right.
What are you praying for? Are you praying for blessings in your life and for
Mhm.
God to do things for you? Or are you praying that God will help you to be the man or the woman of God that He's calling you to be?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jackson, appreciate you being here, man.
Of course.
I'd say in conclusion, wrapping it up, hey, we know that this is a difficult thing. This is a thing that a lot of people are dealing with.
Yep.
We would say, hey, right now, for you, in situations when you are under the age of 21
Mm-hmm.
and or you are getting drunk, that the right thing to do is to pursue holiness and to
Yep.
pursue God and to live a life that is different.
Yep.
And that is hard, but also that there is blessing to be experienced in that through the way that you can have different relationships, you can have friendships with people that aren't going to do those things, and you can also be a witness to people.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, that we know that it seems like it's the way to have fun right now, but there are genuinely incredible relationships and incredibly fun times you can have without those things.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, we would say, just like we say in any situation, when you are seeking and you're looking at how you can live biblically, how I can align my life with Scripture
Mm-hmm.
in this area or any area, you are already succeeding because you're thinking biblically about your life. You're thinking about what it means to be following Jesus, what the path of righteousness is, and
Yeah.
that is a huge victory. And so we're proud of you. If you
Let's
watch
go.
this whole thing, shout out to you.
Hey,
We're proud of you.
let's go.
Maybe it took you 3 times. That's probably what it would take me. Bring it up a little bit.
I know.
Whatever it is, we're proud of you, and we're super proud to be able to encourage you in your faith, and hopefully that it gives you a little more insight into the way that you think about your actions, into the way you think about the things that you do, and ultimately, hopefully, it shows you that living a life pursuing Jesus, living life pursuing holiness, living a life set apart is going to lead to the most fulfilling life you can experience. It might not be the most fun or cool,
Mhm.
but it's going to be fulfilling. It's going to be transformative. And God does not have good things kept from you. And so there's a reason that God has given these parameters. And it's not because He wants to keep fun things away from you. It's because He wants to protect you from things that can be damaging to you.
Mhm.
And so we love you guys. Appreciate you watching. Jackson, great time on this podcast.
Great. It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
I loved it.
But we'll catch you guys next week with another one of our regular podcast episodes, and then we'll be back next month with another conversation.
Yes, we will.
We got so much coming up in store for you guys.
Yes, we do.
But
Let's go.
appreciate you guys. Love y'all.
Love you.
Peace.
Peace.